Welcome back to the channel, horror fans. My name is Adam, and today we are talking about the latest film that hit theaters and also bounced onto streaming services on Peacock, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's, directed by Emma Tammi. Now, I know this film is based off a very popular video game franchise, and I've even seen action figures, and I've seen books, and I've heard great things about this game and this property as a whole. However, I'm a huge noob when it comes to this franchise here. I've never played it. Only the closest thing I've got to playing this game is actually watching other people play it on YouTube. So boo me all you like in the comments, and I will gladly accept the boos, because this is something I definitely should have played before going into it, because I feel like I would really like this this game here. And so, of course, hearing all the praise from the game franchise, I was kind of intrigued, because the only thing I really knew before I went into the theater was that there's these creepy animatronics that are trying to scare you and hunt you down in all the best ways, which sounds like a game that I would totally enjoy playing, just never have. So let's talk about what Freddy Fazbear brought to us on the big screen with Five Nights at Freddy's. This film follows a troubled young man who was recently fired. His name is Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson, and he is trying to find a job, so he reluctantly takes a job as a night security guard at a themed restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And of course, as he soon discovers, things at Freddy's aren't always what they seem and appear to be. This film stars Josh Hutcherson, Piper Rubio, Elizabeth Lell, and Matthew Lillard, and a few other voice talents here as well. Now, again, I will say this once more: I have not played the games before, but I have seen footage of the games, and I feel like Emma Tammi really brought over the atmospheric tones of what the game was truly about. The set inside the pizzeria was really fun to kind of get into, and of course, if I knew anything about the property, I probably would have picked up a lot more Easter eggs. And one thing I really liked about this theater experience is that people and fans of the games seemed to come out in full force, because our theater was about about half full on a Thursday night showing here, and they seemed to be really invested in it. But before I get too far into this review and share what I really liked about the movie, I would love for you guys to hop in that comment section and share your thoughts and opinions, and also hit that like button for me as well. And if you haven't, and you would like to join more conversations like this, think about hitting that subscribe button, because we talk all things movies on this channel. So we would love to have you. All right, let's talk about what I really think are positive things about this movie. For a property that you don't necessarily know what kind of audience you're going to get with Five Nights at Freddy's, having it also jump onto streaming platforms on Peacock, I think could be a really big positive, especially if you get fans of the film that really love it and who went out and paid for a ticket on the theater, and they immediately want to jump back in. They can watch it on Peacock for free, or for whatever the subscription is there. So I think that's kind of something we do need to talk about, because I feel like we haven't seen this since like the COVID era from a few years ago, where we got the date streaming with the theater and streaming service contributions there. And so it's kind of like refreshing to have that back again. But I would choose the theatrical experience, especially if you like to go see it on crowds. You would probably go see this on an opening day as well. And I also feel, like I said, Emma Tammi did a really good job at directing the final moments of the film. Like the last 35 minutes of the movie is really constructed really well, where you're kind of on the edge of your seat, and there are some fun moments to be had here. And I think the creatures also, the animatronics. And again, I do not know all the characters. I do know there's Freddy, there's Bonnie, and there's Chica, and Foxy as well. Those are the four ones that we really primarily focus on. And I think the design of these creatures, the animatronics here, are really well done, and they really have this scope to them where they feel really larger than life. They really are going to come out and get you, and I feel like how they slowly brought them to life, and slowly and kind of there's something going on with these big animatronics. I thought that was delivered really well. And I think having Josh Hutcherson in this character, he's kind of a mysterious character. He has some some demons he's battling here, and I'm not a huge fan of all his films or his performances here, but for this one, I think he's done really well. He's overshadowed a little bit by performance Elizabeth Lell here, who plays Vanessa, who is a police officer here. I think she's definitely a more happier character. She completely different than what Josh Hutcherson's doing here. And another character I really liked, and an actor I really like seeing in everything, is Matthew Lillard, and seeing him as Steve Raglan, who is kind of like a recruiter who gets Josh Hutcherson's character of Mike to be recruited into Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria here. I really like Matthew Lillard. He always has this weird charisma, and it's electrifying when you see him. And even after so many years since like some of his popular works like Scream and Scooby-Doo, just to name a few here, he still is just as charismatic as ever, and he is one of my favorite parts. Whenever he's on the screen, I really liked Matthew Lillard here. I think he's just an electrifying, kind of a eye-catching performance here. Always feels kind of larger than life, and better than most of the stuff he's in the movies here as well. Again, this movie is really based off the atmospheric tones here because, again, it's a survival horror game, so they're trying to bring that to this as well. And seeing a lot of these set pieces are a lot of fun, and seeing when people are breaking in and they're slowly getting kind of picked off one by one here is also kind of a fun time. Some things I think that don't really work too well for me is that it is slowly paced. It takes a little bit for this movie to get going. And again, the last 30 minutes really go fast, and I really enjoyed that. But it is an hour and 10-minute movie, and I feel like this could have been a 90-minute movie, and it probably would have been just as good here. Or maybe even a little better because we're getting to the picked up moments faster here. So this is where I'm going to be lost a little bit. I'm not sure of the whole plots of the games here, but for this film, again, we are really following Mike's story here, where he is struggling with the loss of his brother when they were kids, and he's also taking care of his younger sister, who's played by Piper Rubio, named Abby. And there's like a custody battle they throw in here. They're trying to track down what his brother, or who took his brother. That's what Mike's trying to figure out in his dreams. And of course, they all happen at this pizzeria where he's a night security guard, where he's supposed to watch the cameras. And of course, these animatronics are coming out and going after people here, and somebody may be helping him. There's a lot of stuff kind of crammed in this story here, and I just want these characters to come to life and go and scare these people. But we're really we don't get a ton of that. But the stuff that we do get of it, it's fulfilling and it's rather fun. But again, it takes a long time to get going. You're kind of like almost at like the 50-minute mark, and you have just now started to see the creatures move or something like that. And there's a lot of like backstory, which I was not expecting whatsoever. That really doesn't play in the, it might have played well for the fans of the game. Again, I'm kind of left in the dark here based off that, so that does make me, I guess it's a positive for the movie. It makes me want to go play the game now. So who knows? It might not even be the same stories. I guess time will tell here. I think Emma Tammi does a really good job with it, because it feels like a really like slick feeling movie. And I've never seen anything that she's done. This is by far the biggest project that Emma Tammi has ever taken on. She's done some other indie movies here as well. So it is kind of interesting. She gets like this big IP property. So an indie director who usually gets the big IP properties go to Marvel, but she didn't here, and goes to this kind of horror themed film here. I do think the horror elements of the movie can be like a gateway drug to future horror fans. So this is one that it's not overly violent. There's not a whole lot of blood and guts here at all. It is something that does have enough scares so that younger children, 10 or younger, could be able to sit through here and have a little bit of frights for Halloween, which I think is another big positive. It's not something that you can refrain from having your kids watch. I do appreciate that. I think that there's some values for people who love horror and want their kids to be a part of it too. So I'm not really too high on this one. I would be interested in possibly watching this again. That's why I really like the streaming option. So my rating might go up. I am giving this 2 stars because I simply kind of like the atmospheric tones here. It makes me want to dive into the source material. And I do like some of the performances, specifically Matthew Lillard here. I think they could definitely work on it if they do a sequel. And I know that there's a lot of other characters, hearing from my wife's sister saying that there's a bunch of other characters they haven't even done. So they might do a Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I feel like they can always learn from the, quote unquote mistakes that they made from this first one and build off the world here and make something even bigger and better. And I think that's what I'm more excited for, to see what the next chapter would be. And I think that is a promising kind of future to look forward to whenever they make a Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Again, complete noob over here. Make fun of me in the comments. Let's talk about this film because I think there's a lot of things that the fans picked up on that I may not pick on. So where's something that I should get excited, and what game should I start with as well? I think those are good questions to have there. And if you haven't done so already, if you liked what we're talking about here, make sure you guys subscribe. We would really appreciate it here. Again, my name is Adam. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and we'll see you later.